Hello, this is Business Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV news studios in Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, EU foreign ministers consider new sanctions on Russia. Federal government incurs 950 billion naira new domestic borrowing in first quarter of 2022. Nigeria's wheat imports surge by 71% to 1.29 trillion naira. World Bank judges Nigeria's port concession model best in Africa. Hello again and glad to have you join us. I'm Michael Nath. An expert has surmised that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria will remain status quo on all monetary parameters at its ongoing meeting holding March 21 and 22, 2022. CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Muda Yusuf, who said this earlier in the day on iBrandTV's Business Breakfast show, attributed his forecast to the current issues of energy costs, which he says has adversely affected the cost of production and transportation.
My expectation is that the policy stance is likely to be retained. In other words, the status quo is likely to remain. I say that because first, the inflationary situation that we have are driven largely by supply side issues and just to a limited extent by monetary factors. And when I say supply side issues, I'm talking about the issue of energy costs, which we are all familiar with. We know what the cost of diesel is, we know what the cost of gas is, we know the implication of that for cost of production, for cost of transportation, and the knock-on effect on the general price level. So a major driver of inflation at this time is the energy price that has been going up significantly. The cost of diesel has gone up by over 200%. The cost of gas has also almost doubled. And this is affecting also the cost of transportation. So that is one. The second leg of the key driver of inflation is the currency depreciation and forex liquidity. Those two factors are also contributing a lot.
Power generation companies on Sunday said the Nigerian market was under threat based on the recent claims by the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company PLC that only 5 GENCOs had active power purchase agreements in Nigeria. Speaking under the aegis of the Association of Power Generation Companies APGC, the GENCOs faulted the claims by NBET, as the APGC stressed that the statement of the bulk trader would further scare investors from investing in the sector. The Executive Secretary, APGC, Joy Ogaji, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja, explained that the absence of PPAs, as claimed by NBET, entailed that GENCOs were exposed to the vagaries in the downstream electricity market. Ogaji, however, disclaimed reports that quoted the GENCOs to have insisted that the federal government must pay the over 1.6 trillion naira that was owed power generation companies since 2013. Otherwise, there would be total blackout across the country. Now, the federal government has incurred 950 billion naira new domestic borrowing between January 2022 and March 11, 2022. That's according to the Debt Management Office. The fresh borrowing was disclosed on March 17th in the presentation of the public debt data as of December 31, 2021 by the Director General of the DMO, Patience Oniha. In the document, Oniha disclosed that all options for raising funds externally are being considered. These include funding from multilateral and bilateral sources, the international capital markets, and $3.35 billion special drawing rights allocated by the International Monetary Fund to the Central Bank of Nigeria. According to the document, the federal government still plans to borrow an additional 1.6 trillion naira, while the 2022 debt target for domestic borrowing is 2.57 trillion naira. In total, the federal government plans to add 6.3 trillion naira new debts to the current debt stock, which would push the country's total debt stock to 45.686 trillion naira by December 2022. Now, the queues by motorists for premium motor spirit, otherwise called petrol, particularly in Abuja and northern states, have refused to clear, despite the supply of about 1.824 billion litres of PMS by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The NNPC had on Sunday denied claims that it had reviewed the ex-coastal, ex-depot and the NNPC retail prices for petrol downwards. It described the claims as fake news in a series of tweets via its official Twitter handle. Figures obtained from the company on Sunday showed that between February 14 and March 13, 2022, the oil firm released a total of 1.824 billion litres of petrol in a bid to keep the country wet with petrol. However, the queues in filling stations, which were triggered by the imports of adulterated fuel in January this year, refused to disappear and had persisted for about 2 months now. Bankers and other operators in the Nigerian financial markets have identified the deployment of commodities ecosystem as a catalyst for the achievement of Central Bank of Nigeria plan to generate 200 billion naira in the next 3 to 5 years. The CBN RT200FX program plans to generate 200 billion naira in the foreign exchange through the non-oil exports. By the set of policy plan and program, the proposed forex injection into the system will be exclusively from non-oil exports. Now, the sources of inflow of forex into Nigeria have been adversely affected by COVID-19, apart from inadequacy and unreliability of some of the sources. Bankers and other financial market operators who converged on a breakfast meeting hosted by Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange at the weekend agreed that effective utilization of Nigeria's commodities ecosystem presents ample opportunities for the Apex Bank to achieve and mobilize forex through non-oil exports. Now, Nigeria's fast-developing Islamic banking system has been selected as a study model for the emerging Islamic banking in the Gambia. Delegates from the Gambia were at Nigeria's premier non-interest bank, Jay's Bank PLC, to understudy the successful banking model of the premier Islamic bank. With average near yearly growth rate of 40% and a balance sheet of 300 billion naira last year, Jay's Bank has grown over the decade to become a stable financial institution. It has a strong financial structure for agriculture, which nearly a quarter of its portfolio is in small and medium enterprises (SMEs). The Gambian government, through its Ministry of Agriculture, with the support of Islamic Development Bank, is implementing the model to boost its agricultural sector and the entire economy. The performance of the country's export sector has been on a downward slope, taking what appeared to be a steep dive into the basement last year, exposing the sordid underbelly of the country's export promotion and import substitute programs. Now, Nigeria's trade balance had remained relatively healthy until sometime in 2029 when it started recording deficits. This got bad last year when it jumped 986%, growing from 178 billion naira to an all-time high of 1.94 trillion naira. The shortfall is about 10% of the total value of exports in the same year. The amount is also about 2.7% of the country's real gross domestic product, GDP, which was estimated at 73.4 trillion naira last year. If the huge trade deficit is worrisome, the data, trend, and pattern in recent years are perhaps frightening. In 2018, the country recorded a trade balance of 5.37 trillion naira. The figure slipped to 2.23 trillion naira in 2019, but that was still considered a healthy position. Now, at the end of its transactions on the equities sector of the capital market, losses in Cornerstone Insurance, SCO and MRS dragged the all-share index and market capitalization by 0.3% to close the week at 47,282.67 and 25 naira, 483 trillion. Now, Cornerstone Insurance shed 21.62% to close at 58 kobo, while SCO depreciated by 15.90% to close at 2.38 kobo. Now, MRS oil also fell by 9.96% to close at 12.20 naira. Similarly, all other indices finished lower except NGX Merry Value, NGX Lotus 2 and NGX Industrial Goods indices, which appreciated by 0.76%, 0.12% and 0.14% respectively, while NGX ASEM, NGX Growth and NGX Sovereign Bond indices closed flat. In addition, the value of shares traded also dropped last week as a turnover of 2.449 billion shares worth 20.7 billion naira was exchanged in 20,764 deals by investors on the floor of the exchange. This value of shares traded was, however, lower than 2.798 billion units worth 23.8 billion naira that changed hands in 22,970 deals on March the 11th, 2022. Now, still to come, Bitcoin remains above $40,000 as net flow on exchanges stay negative. Details of these and more after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Unripe plantain flour is 100% natural flour gotten from the processing of unripe plantain. It contains no addictive and has a net content of 500 grams. True unripe plantain flour contains vitamin A, B6 and C. It is gluten-free and rich in calcium. Consuming through unripe plantain flour helps to build and strengthen stronger bones and can be a great meal for diabetic patients. It decreases your chances of constipation as it has a high fiber content and provides you with a low-fat diet. Here are some steps to prepare your through unripe plantain flour. Firstly, mix through unripe plantain flour with hot water in a pot and gradually add water till you achieve desired thickness. Place over medium heat and turn very well for 4 to 5 minutes to get the right texture. Mold into a ball and place in a bowl and allow to cool. Serve with your choice of soup. Through unripe plantain flour can be eaten with any variety of soup, be it your ofe oha, ofe onugbu, begiri, ewedu or your miyan kuka. To get your through unripe plantain flour, contact us at 12 Olowera Isheri Road by First Welder bus stop off Omole Phase 2, Olowera, Lagos, Nigeria, or call 070-6663-8213 or 081-6397-4447. Distributors are needed nationwide.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
Welcome back to Business Now. Oil prices jumped more than $3 on Monday, with Brent above $111 a barrel, as European Union nations consider joining the United States in a Russia oil embargo, while a weekend attack on Saudi oil facilities caused jitters. Brent crude futures climbed $3.74 or 3.5% to $111.67 a barrel by 0739 GMT, adding to a 1.2% rise last Friday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose $3.98 or 3.8% to $108.68, extending a 1.7% jump last Friday. Prices moved higher ahead of talks this week between European Union governments and U.S. President Joe Biden for a series of summits that aim to harden the West's response to Moscow over its invasion of Ukraine. Now, the war between Ukraine and Russia, two of the world's top crop producers, could lead to a food crisis on a global scale. French Farming Minister Julien Demonardier said in Brussels Monday ahead of a EU agriculture meeting. Demonardier added that EU ministers will discuss the food situation with their Ukrainian counterpart in a video call. A World Food Programme official said on Friday that food supply chains in Ukraine were collapsing, with key infrastructure such as bridges and trains destroyed by bombs and many grocery stores and warehouses empty. Now, foreign ministers of Lithuania and Ireland have said the European Union would step up sanctions on Russia to target its lucrative energy sector. Trying to force a Russian military withdrawal from Ukraine, the European Union and its Western allies have already imposed a panoply of sanctions, including freezing the Russian central bank's assets, the humanitarian crisis in the port city of Mariupol, where residents are besieged with little food, water and power, is increasing pressure on European leaders to toughen sanctions on Moscow. Meanwhile, diplomats say Baltic countries, including Lithuania, are pushing for an embargo as the next logical step, while Germany is warning against acting too quickly because of already high energy prices in Europe. U.S. President Joe Biden's warning of consequences for any aid China may give to Russia's Ukraine war effort could force Chinese President Xi Jinping to choose between a long-standing lucrative trade relationship with the West and a growing strategic partnership with Russia. Based on trade flows alone, Beijing has a lot at stake following Biden's nearly 2-hour video call with Xi Jinping on Friday, with the White House confirming that sanctions on China were an option. Despite growing trade ties to Southeast Asia and an economy that is less dependent on trade over the past decade, China's economic interests remain heavily skewed to Western democracies. Siding with political ally Russia would make little economic sense for China, according to analysts, as the United States and European Union still consume more than a third of China's exports. We now go on a commercial break and we'll return to more news updates. Stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's through unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare, fortified with vitamin A, low in sugar and cholesterol, rich in fiber that helps the heart, builds and strengthens the bone, and his energy level is boosted.
Through unripe plantain flour, no additives, 100% natural, a product of Pali Agro Products Nigeria. Through unripe plantain flour, available in all leading stores nationwide.